mask off. First off, I appreciate the fans that came and supported us today. Like, it's break and the students are gone, and the students have been great, but the community, the fans that came today was big because it got loud in there, and there were stretches where it was really loud, and they helped us, and that's really important. So I want to thank everybody that came and cheered for us. And every time we play, we want to make Penn State proud. And I hope if this is your one game that you get an opportunity to come to, right? Maybe you live somewhere out of town, or maybe you don't live close to here, or you're in town for the holidays, and you get a chance to come watch this team play one time. I hope that person felt good about how hard our guys played and how hard they competed. And that's what we want. That's what we want people to leave seeing. And I think we did that. Hats off to our guys. You just talked to them, but, maybe they talked to you about practice this week, but it probably wasn't the most pleasant thing for them, especially after sitting out for so long. But how they competed, what they did, we had training camp, and there were a bunch of two-a-days, and they came in the morning and practiced, and they went home and they slept and they ate, and then they came back and they practiced again. And it wasn't like it was like we're going to get a couple shots up. No, we competed, and that's how you have to play. That's how you have to play in this league, and that's what those guys did. So hats off to our guys for how they competed tonight, or this afternoon, or whatever time or day it is.
How concerned were you, I guess, about their preparedness, just given the layoff and all the time in between games?
I wasn't concerned at all. Not one bit. I maybe concerned about our rhythm in terms of making shots, because, playing in games, you kind of get into a game rhythm with your legs. But how we prepared for Indiana, and we didn't really start doing it until Thursday. We had a chance when we came back to work on ourselves. That was the most important thing. How can we use the break to look at how can we improve? What are we doing good? What are we doing bad? How do we improve? And we focused on that for 4 days. And then we started preparing for Indiana. But when we came in and walked through today, Coach Fairley, who did a great job of getting our guys ready, when they walked through today, they could tell you exactly what they were going to do. Now, it's a different story than stopping it, right? But they knew exactly what was going to happen. So I knew we were going to be prepared defensively. I didn't know how we would do offensively just because of our legs and the layoff. But I felt like we gutted through it. We got timely shots. We made timely shots. We got some drives to the rim, and they did a good job of taking what we did in practice, what we saw on film, and putting it into game action.
Micah, I guess on the topic of shot making, I think you guys are 11 of 22 from three. What kind of impact did that have on the game, and did you think there was a difference in the type of looks you guys were getting from out there?
Their defense, if you look at it going in, it's outstanding. I'm going to say they were the 14th best defense in the country coming in. They're so long. They're so active. Their guards are athletic. They do a great job of taking away three-pointers. But we had to find a way to get them. And we got to play them again, so I can't tell you exactly how we did it, right? But I thought what we saw on film and the way to attack it, we tried to do it. And that was a big part of it. We got to make open threes, because that opens up the court for those drives to the rim that those guys are doing. So we did a good job of executing, but then we made timely shots. Smiles, huge 4 threes. Pickett, he made 3, but he threw a couple in. That was almost like a get back on defense. He just kickballed it into the rim. But those count, man. Those count, unfortunately. So us making threes is a huge part of how we play. But we took good threes, right? We shoot 40% uncontested threes. We shoot 28% contested threes. So part of us coming in this week was, let's get more uncontested threes. Like, let's pass up on the contested ones and let's get better ones by doing something different. And I thought we tried to do that. We still took some contested shots, so we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Micah, as you touched on, Miles Dredd hit a couple of big threes. What did you think about his performance today, and how has he progressed over the season so far?
Miles came back on, I think we came back on Sunday. Like I told you, I don't know what day of the week it is. I know it's Sunday. But the weeks before that, I don't know what day Christmas was. I think it was Saturday. So we came back on Sunday. Miles came back on Sunday with a really different focus and attitude. How he worked, what he did this week, like he really pushed himself. He and Seth went against each other in practice and were competing and going at it, and I thought they made each other better. But his numbers we looked at too. Like when he shoots uncontested threes, man, they go in. They go in. And he got a bunch of those really good looks, and a lot of that was some other guys setting him up for those looks. But I thought what he did when he came back has been great. And us being undermanned a little bit in terms of how we've played in the first 10 games, I think it's hurt Miles because he's had to play more minutes. How I want to play, it's really hard to do. It's really hard on offense and defense. I'm asking him to play at max effort. And now, like if you go back and think about it, Miles wasn't healthy at the start of the year, right? He just started playing like October 30th, something like that. So he didn't get the full complement of practice that everybody else did. So now he's a little bit behind. So I hope that time really helped him. But, we need him to keep doing it. And if he keeps practicing the way he did, I think he will keep doing it.
Micah, how's John doing, and what kind of impact did you think that stretch with him out of the game had there?
Yeah, John's okay. He John's a warrior, man. The one thing he does also is he takes care of himself. So he just kind of came down on somebody's ankle when he went to make that post move. I was. You go through that stretch without him. I thought our guys fought, but it's just different, right? He brings a different element defensively. But Trace was going at the time, and it's hard to lose him. And now, like Trace really got it going in the second half in terms of catching it and going to the rim quick. So that was like the best news I heard all day is when somebody came back over and tapped me and said, "Hey, John's available." I was like, well, John's going in. So he'll be okay. I'm not worried about him one bit. He's probably in the weight room now, and then he's probably going to go get in the cold tub, and he's going to get some ice, and he's going to go home, probably talk to Justin, get in the Normatec tonight, and he's going to come back. He's going to be ready to practice tomorrow. Like nothing ever happened. And, when other guys see that, like that's inspiring.
Micah, what do you think about the way you guys crashed the glass tonight? Obviously, that was big, and having 7 offensive rebounds in the second half seemed to really kind of lift you a little bit.
Yeah, part of part of our struggles in terms of what we haven't been doing was, our offensive rating goes in line with our shot volume as a team, right? We haven't been getting the same amount of shots as the other people in the country, and we're actually dead last in high major teams in shot volume. We're -6 per game, which is, I don't need to tell anybody this, that's not good. But a way for us to combat that was to lower our turnovers and hit the offensive glass even harder. Our offensive rebounding has dipped in I don't know, since like our third or fourth game. So in the last 5 games, our offensive rebounds have gone down. So that was a huge point of emphasis. And John goes, right? He does work every single day. But I think having Greg Lee healthy, being in there, helping us, having Jelani White in there. And then I thought Miles and Seth got some timely offensive rebounds and really just doing their job, just running to where they're supposed to be. Like, they're not even trying to get them. They're just running to a certain spot where I told them to get to, and the ball just goes to their hands. So it helps us. It helps us and gives us more cracks at it.
Micah, there was really only one run in that game, and you guys had it, and you got some three-point shooters open in that stretch. Were you doing anything different with the little screen rolls up on top there to get guys open?
We changed a little bit from one half to the next, just kind of looking at what they were doing, how they were guarding it, and then really just kind of flipping it to something else. And like I said earlier before you guys got in here, we got to play him again. So and Coach Woodson's, he's an unbelievable coach. Like, so are the other guys on staff. So, like, they're going to figure out what we were doing. But we made a slight adjustment to try and get those guys open a little bit. Greg Lee picking up 4 fouls also gave us another three-point shooter on the floor. So now we were playing with Miles Dredd as our 4-man, and they had to match up with one of the bigger guys on him. And, he broke free for a couple of those threes just based on how they were playing and based on what we were trying to do.
Micah, you do most of a lot of your coaching in the Midwest. How big a win was this beating Indiana and for you guys and for this program right now?
Yeah, I said this on the radio just a little bit ago. Like I'm a kid from Indiana, right? Like I grew up in Jeffersonville, Indiana. My parents went to IU Southeast, so they got Indiana diplomas on their wall. My wife went to IU. So it was funny. Sorry, I'm going to go back to this. Coach Fairley, who's from the East Coast, came into the office to watch film with Grady Eifert, myself. Brian Snow was still around, so he was in there. And he's like, hey, we're going to do something about Indiana. And I said IU. And he's like, oh, sorry. I'm not from the Midwest, because I had said it. Snow had said it. Grady had said it. Like, that's what we say. But, I grew up in southern Indiana. I grew up in Indianapolis, the other part of my childhood. And I grew up idolizing Coach Knight, right, in terms of his teams, how they played, what they did. And the greatest way, I guess, to honor somebody, because I would have crawled to Indiana if I was a good enough player. I clearly wasn't. But the greatest way to honor somebody is the way that you play. And when I go back and look at those teams, they were always tough, traditional, gritty, half-court, man-to-man teams. They shared the ball, and they fought on the glass, and they played as a team, and they played gritty. And that's what I knew it would take for us to win tonight, but to have success in the Big Ten. And for our guys to practice that way and then play that way, it's a testament to what they're willing to do. And all week or half this week, I give them a quote and before practice. And the one this week was the difference between excellence and mediocrity is commitment. And you saw some buy-in in terms of what we did in practice and how we competed today. So you're starting to see that commitment. And they're, maybe these guys are only here 1 year. But they're setting the standard for how we need to play. They're leaving film for the next group that's coming in to say, this is how if you want to win in the Big Ten, this is how you have to compete.
Mike, I apologize if you've been asked this already.
I'll like you, Dustin.
Good to see you, man. Just the zone, the 2-3, especially what it did in the second half, just, what led you to go to that first off, and what did you guys think you did effectively to keep them from getting moving?
You know what? I get my years confused. In 2000 and probably 13 when I went to the NBA, and, Coach Woodson was coaching there, and then, still, like, all the way through, basically, until this past year. He was with the Knicks at the time, so we played him 4 times, right? They're in our division when I was in Boston, and like what he did out of timeouts was fantastic. Like I still remember, like he runs such good stuff, and he puts his guys in position. They had a chance to kind of see how we were going to double team, like how we were going to rotate, what we were able to do. So I thought out that when he gets a chance to huddle those guys and talk to them, I thought he could really pick us apart. So we've worked on it. Like we've been working on it a little bit here and there, and I just wanted to try and keep him off balance a little bit. Like just, force those guys, like, they say it, take the pen out of his hand a little bit and force the players to make decisions. Like, because I got nothing but the utmost respect for him, competing against his teams. Like, he was with Doc Rivers last in L.A., who's one of the best at drawing up stuff out of timeouts and picking you apart. And Armand Hill is sitting on his bench. Coach Hill left and went to the Clippers with Doc Rivers, and I sat at that desk when he left. Like, so I know how good he is as well. So we had to do something different. Like, if I would have just stayed the same way, he would start picking us apart.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Happy New Year. I know it's already passed, but that's all right.